Braves are back for a limited time engagement, and they're still chopping their way through the National League. Atlanta, with the long ball, is headed to October. And tonight, the Marlins try to slow down the Express. It's game one. It's Miami and Atlanta. On this Monday in South Florida, the Marlins and the Braves get ready. It's a 4-game series. It's a long one. And the Braves steaming towards October. Brian McCann and his buddy Phantom Can. Not related. Christian Yelich getting ready as the Fish get set to take on Chris Medlin. Henderson Alvarez gets the ball for the Fish. Hi, everybody. Rich Waltz along with Tommy Hunt. It's the Braves and the Marlins for the final time this year. Much like last year and again this year, the Braves have dominated this series.
Well, they have. They've done a lot of things. They've gotten clutch base hits. They've gotten some game-winning hits, some great pitching. They've kind of done what the Braves have always done, especially under Freddie Gonzalez, ever since he's been there.
Okay, let's talk about the Marlins. Offensively, for the Fish, it's been a challenging year in fits and starts. One guy who, I guess, embodies that is Justin Ruggiano. Ruggiano had a nice start to the season, then endured that 0 for 42. Since he snapped that slump, though, he's been Miami's best hitter.
You know, speaking of using the word snap, it's amazing that he didn't snap when he was going through that 0 for 42. He handled it really well. And all of a sudden, since that time, look at that, a 377 average. He's hit 4 home runs. He's hit 3 doubles. And right now, Justin Ruggiano, because Giancarlo's not in the lineup, he's a key piece of the lineup because of what he adds with the power. He's second on the club in home runs and RBIs.
As the Braves look to October, they're starting to set up their rotation. And you look back to last year. Remember the run that Chris Medlin was on? He could not be beat. He was, of course, in the wild card game, but he's starting to look like that again in our Coventry matchup. Medlin gets the ball for Atlanta.
All you have to do, look down below, 17 games in his career against the Marlins. You see his record, 4-1, terrific numbers. Even better when he pitches here. At Marlins Park, he's 2-0. In 19 innings, he has not given up an earned run.
Okay, now Henderson Alvarez gets the ball for the Fish.
He's kind of gone the opposite way of Medlin. He had a run of really good starts. Lately struggled a little bit, but you know what? He pitched well in Chicago, hit a big 3-run homer, so he looks to continue that tonight.
He can't wait to get back up to the plate. The Marlins, the Braves, and Phantom Can. Fun with Phantom Can. Steve Cishek will be your host when we return. And believe me, this is fun. Let's go out center field. Craig Minervini, Jeff Conine.
Thank you very much, Rich. Good evening again, everybody. And we get a look at our Phantom Cam here tonight. We've seen it on a few games this year. We used to have that in the old days, that super slow-mo. This is even better than that.
Even better than that, 2,500 frames per second. It pretty much stops everything in motion, and Steve Cishek had some fun with it today.
Let's take a look.
Hi, I'm Steve Cishek, and this here is the Phantom Cam. This thing will break down a picture into 2,500 frames per second, and we're about to have a little bit of fun with it. So as you can see, we have some awesome stuff over here, quite the collection. And it looks like to start things off, we're going to do the old famous Mentos in a bottle of Coke ordeal. Hi, I'm Steve Cishek. I'm in the TV truck. We're about to check out my throwing motion here on the Phantom Cam. And as it goes through here, it's going to look pretty disgusting. You can see all the ligaments that are about to shoot out my elbow. Until I saw this camera angle, I didn't realize how nasty it looked, like physically wise, you know what I mean? Like I didn't know all, I know what my muscles do in every situation due to kinesiology in college, but I had no idea what it looked like in person. It's kind of gross.
That looks like ouch to me in person when you look at that tape and look what the arm goes through when you release a pitch. That is unbelievable.
We'll be using it tonight. You'll see batters, the ball compression off the bat, pitchers, the arm throwing, and whatever else we can find to use Phantom. Should be fun. Like maybe even Cliff Lloyd there. And, oh,
yes,
that's Jeff in the box.
Best giveaway ever.
Looks even better from Phantom Cam than it did in real life, actually. All right, coming up, we've got Marlins and Braves. Game one of this 4-game series in a moment.
On Fox Sports Florida, brought to you by Toyota. Let's go places. by AT&T U-verse TV. Check availability 1-800-PICK-AT&T. Rethink possible by Just for Men Mustache and Beard. And by Checkers. Feast on. Yes, that is Silly String on Phantom Cam. The crack staff spent all day working hard, getting ready for Phantom Cam, the Braves, and the Marlins. Here come the Atlanta Braves. The Braves have taken 10 of the 15 between these two teams this year. JM Lexus brings you their starting lineup. Jordan Schaefer, speedy center fielder. Justin Upton in right. Freddie Freeman, their MVP, is at first base. Evan Gattis, 2 long home runs yesterday's in left. Brian McCann will do the catching. Chris Johnson vying for a batting title. Andrelton Simmons is at shortstop. Would love to have heard Harry Callis say that name. Elliot Johnson, funny guy. He's at second base. And Chris Medlin will hit ninth. Henderson Alvarez, as Tommy pointed out, very good in Chicago, both on the mound and at the plate.
And you see the numbers on Henderson Alvarez. You see the season numbers against the Atlanta Braves. Alvarez has made 3 starts against Atlanta. Not done too well. The ERA just under 6, giving up 20 hits in his 17 innings of work. All year he's given up just 1 home run. And I guess the contrasting thing there is that last year when Alvarez was pitching for the Toronto Blue Jays, he gave up 29 home runs. So he's kept the ball in the park much better this year.
Miami this year better defensively. Cleveland Clinic brings it to you.
And you see the absence of Giancarlo Stanton in the outfield, so Yelich, Brugiano, and Coughlin fill out the outfield. Polanco in the lineup, boy, as he hit Medlin well. Echeverria and Solano, the double play combination. Logan Morrison at first. And Jeff Mathis is handling Henderson Alvarez.
Mike Redmond in the fish, going at the Braves here. As Tommy pointed out, the Braves still have an 85-57 mark. Freddie Gonzalez and Atlanta trying to keep their edge as they steam towards October. And their lead very sizable in the East.
And I think, Rich, you made a good point talking about home field advantage, because with the 85 wins, St. Louis has 83. The Dodgers have 83 wins. So that's one of the things that Freddie Gonzalez and his staff will try to certainly keep in the back of their mind. On the other hand, they need to kind of align everybody so they have everybody in the perfect shape as they enter postseason.
And that's the challenge for Don Mattingly in the West and Freddie Gonzalez in the East. Well, the 3 teams in the Central, Tommy, are scratching and clawing to the very end to decide who gets the division and who has to play in the wild card game. These 2 teams, Atlanta and Los Angeles, have to stay sharp, keep their edge, align their rotation, and be playoff ready when the bell rings. The bell rings for pinch a penny. First pitch, Alvarez has that unique windup to start a game, and he misses up with a fastball. It's high to Schaefer.
Yeah, it's funny. Some would choose the position of the Braves and the Dodgers. Some would choose the position of one of those teams in the Central.
It's true. I mean, where would you rather be? Coasting in or scratching and clawing and have all the momentum when you get there?
My opinion, watch out for those teams that are scratching and crawling and clawing when you get to postseason.
There's a 1-1 pitch to Jordan Schaefer. Little tapper. Alvarez off the mound. Good athlete. And a 91 mile an hour sinker that Morrison has to frame on the outside part of the first base.
His back leg almost slipped a little bit as he went to plant. Good play right there. A little bit of a slippage and a hard sinker over to first base. We've seen Alvarez all year, ever since he got in the rotation, hit and make some tremendous plays defensively.
Now Justin Upton, and of course for the Braves, Justin Upton has been productive. Runs up the bunt, and it's a strike. I don't think the Marlins would mind if Upton squared the bunt every time he was at the plate. Powerful, and the Braves are hopeful that he can duplicate what he did in the month of August. April and August are the good months for Justin Upton this year. I mean, a record-setting month in April in terms of home runs. And he had a red-hot August as well.
12 home runs in the month of April.
But 0 for his last 15 right now. Out to short, Echeverria on to first. And Henderson Alvarez has a couple of ground ball outs. If there's a hallmark of an Alvarez start, Tommy, it's not necessarily high strikeout totals like a Jose Fernandez or even a Nathan Eovaldi can rack up, but it's uncomfortable swings. It's not great contact. It's balls just off the barrel of the bat.
He has that good sinker. A lot of times you'll see a lot of ground balls, just like the one that Upton hit.
If you're voting for MVP for the Atlanta Braves, I'm not sure how you can not vote for this guy, Freddie Freeman.
If you're voting for MVP in the National League, there are going to be a lot of people that might throw Freeman's name in there.
Without a doubt. Freeman, 4th in the National League with the 96 RBIs. That's a career high for him already. 2nd in the majors with runners in scoring position. Alan Craig, of course, has been leading that category seemingly for the last 2 years. But Freeman all year has been over 400 and at 440. Here's the 1-1. And it's out. And in a year where McCann's been hurt, B.J. Upton has been a disappointment, Uggla has struggled, Justin Upton has had hot and cold months, Freeman's been steady from the very start.
Dan Uggla is struggling enough that he's out of the lineup in this one tonight. Still hitting in the 180s.
Three-one pitch. Freeman knocks it up the middle. Echeverria on to first. Henderson Alvarez with 3 ground ball outs. Marlins get their first swings next. Braves and Marlins. And the Marlins go to work on Chris Medlin. J.M. Alexis brings you the starting lineup. Chris Coughlin's been moved around a lot. He's out in right field. Donovan Solano's at second. Christian Yelich is in left. Justin Ruggiano hits cleanup in this ball game. Placido Polanco, as Tommy pointed out, has hit Medlin well. So he is awarded with the 5 spot right in front of Logan Morrison and Danny Echeverria, Jeff Mathis, and Henderson Alvarez. Look at Alvarez hitting .368. Medlin, not an easy guy to hit, especially when he gets on a roll. He was on a great roll at the end of last year, and he's starting to get back into that same groove. Look at his last 2 starts.
Last 2 starts, if you go through July 23rd, Medlin was 6-10, had an ERA about .370. Since that time, he's gone 6-2, the ERA about .270. So he's pitched a lot better. One of these guys, he's not a big guy. Medlin about 5'10", fastball's about 91, 92, but a terrific changeup, great location. Works from that first base side of the pitching rubber.
This pitch to Coghlan, a fastball that misses up. Coghlan getting the start. Chris, in yesterday's ball game, was an 0 for 5. He had a 3-hit game on Saturday night. He takes down low. It's 2-0. Into right field. Coghlan healthy, out a couple of months with the lower back issue, which affected his hamstring and calf. He smacks that one over the head of the shortstop, Simmons, into left center field, a base hit, and that's exactly what Coghlan has done since coming back. It's amazing, Tommy, because a lot of times you spend 2 months out, you get some rehab games, you're rusty, and it doesn't look like he's rusty at all.
Nah, he jumps on that mistake pitch from Medlin, a fastball that was up, and that's vintage Chris Coghlan with that line drive. Look at phantom cam. Watch the ball make contact. That's a great look. And for Coghlan now, he's 4 for 9 in his career against Medlin.
Hitting coaches will talk about keeping your head still. That was a great illustration of how if you keep your head still, everything kind of moves where it should. Coghlan chased back at first base. Donovan Solano now with Christian Yelich right behind him. Marlins trying to extend this losing skid by the Braves. Swept by the Phillies in a 3-game series. Atlanta lost the last game of the Mets series. So a 4-game losing streak, but the Braves still have the best record in the National League. And that's because the Dodgers took it on the chin in Cincinnati.
Got to be careful over there. Medlin puts it all together. He's a good little athlete out there. Quick feet, quick move. Yeah, if you're the Braves and the Dodgers, what you want to do, you want to be playing good baseball that last week.
Freddie Gonzalez and Don Mattingly as well.
And Freddie knows what it's like to get bumped out early.
Yes. I mean, the Braves were the wild card team and the home wild card team last year. They hosted the Cardinals in the wild card game. And Medlin was on the mound. And Medlin had not lost a game in, 2.5 months? He had that incredible run.
He had that 12-game stretch. 12 starts. He went 9-0.
Here's the 1-1 pitch. Solano hits in the air to center field. Hits it pretty well. Schaefer goes back. Has room, makes the catch. Coghlan tags, goes halfway, and then comes back. Braves are a good defensive team. Atlanta right now tied for 3rd in fielding percentage. They've made just 71 errors. And they're brought to you by the Cleveland Clinic, Florida.
And there is that defense. Powerful hitter, Evan Gaddis in left field, Schaefer in center, and Justin Upton, the right fielder. Chris Johnson, Andrelton Simmons, Elliott Johnson, and Freddie Freeman over on the right side. And Brian McCann, you all know him. He's been back there a lot for the Braves.
He might not be back there next year for the Braves. Now Yelich. Swing and a miss at a changeup from Medlin.
Great arm action with the changeup. That's a go-to pitch for Chris Medlin.
Now, when you miss a pitch, sometimes it looks like you just missed it, but on Phantom Cam, there's nobody that can hide from this. Look how far he missed this by.
Wow.
And a strike to Yelich, it's 0-2.
So he comes back with a fastball. He'll touch 90 once in a while, but a lot of difference in that fastball, though, even if it's only 89, when you know a pitcher has that terrific changeup.
Of course, the Cardinals in that wild card game in Atlanta beat Medlin and went on to get to the National League Championship Series. Here's the scouting report for this diminutive but aggressive right-hander.
Yeah, very aggressive approach. We've talked about the fastball, and boy, sometimes he'll go 2-3 times in a row with the changeup, and he'll throw it any time.
The quintessential Bulldog on the mound. I know that was a nickname that Tommy Lasorda gave to Oral Hershiser. Change up. And Yelich looked like he missed that one by as much as he missed the other one.
There's a term that hitters will use, pitchers will use it too, that if Medlin's on his game, he can carve up some hitters, young hitters especially, with that terrific changeup.
Ruggiano now. And Ruggiano sends one in the air to center. Schaefer, who plays a deep center, makes the catch. So both Henderson Alvarez and Chris Medlin go unharmed in the first. Spring training when he was tearing things up. And this will add to the legend. His home run yesterday, 484 feet. It's the longest in baseball this year.
Greatest part about the 2 home runs he hit against Cole Hamels was the reaction of Hamels on both pitches. I mean, couldn't believe he jumped on a first pitch curveball and hit it so far.
Well, I mean, just believing anything about Gaddis was hard in the first few weeks of the season, because with McCann out, the Braves were trying to figure out what were they going to do to replace McCann's numbers. And here was Gaddis, who'd only been in the Braves organization for a couple of years. The great story of him bumming around looking for jobs, a janitor, a ski lift operator, all these different odd jobs, out of baseball for 3 or 4 years, then decided to go back into it. That just doesn't happen, that in 2 years you find yourself not only in the major leagues, but dominating the major leagues in his first 2 months.
Well, if he stays hot, it'll be an interesting decision for Freddie Gonzalez.
Here is McCann.
You don't flip-flop catchers and platoon catchers in postseason. McCann's going to catch every game. So they're going to have to decide, if Gaddis is hot, how to get him in the lineup, even though he's been absolutely tremendous as a pinch hitter.
And the interesting thing, when the Marlins were last in Atlanta, Gaddis was out of gas and was struggling. And after Evan Gaddis night, where they handed out the Oso Blanco pause, the Braves sent him down to the minor leagues to get him some at-bats, to get him straightened out. And whatever he did down there in 3 or 4 days, he came back and he's on fire again. McCann walks. And he's aboard. Here comes Chris Johnson. This is a 4-game series, Marlins and Braves. And tomorrow night at 7:10, take advantage of the half-price Tuesday offer. Get half-price tickets, most sections of the ballpark. And you can enjoy back-to-school special. Get up to 3 kids' tickets for just $1 each if you purchase an adult ticket. So go to Marlins.com and bring the kids a little back-to-school treat. Johnson up the middle. Echeverria gets the ball, gets the bag, gets the double play. That's sweet. It ain't Echeverria, the forgotten Cuban, who makes a nice play over the middle. Scoreless, Marlins and Braves. Terms of fielding, but he's back on it now.
Boy, he is. The quickness, I love to watch this. He's so smooth. Pick, step, and throw. He knew right where he was when he got that ground ball. And look at how nice that looks. The concentration, he stays down on the ball, and an easy double play. All 6 outs that Alvarez has recorded have been on the ground.
If you haven't watched Marlins baseball this year and you're wondering why I said the forgotten Cuban, is many times this year we've seen a list of Cuban players with Yasiel Puig and Jose Fernandez.
Aroldis Chapman's on the list.
Yoenis
Cespedes.
Leonis Martin of the Texas Rangers. And Echeverria's name oftentimes is left off. But, of course, Echeverria goes about his business in a very quiet manner. He's not flashy. He is one of the better defensive shortstops in the game. And that's not our opinion. That's the opinion of advanced scouts and scouts from other teams that have seen him play all year. Here's Polanco now. Some things in baseball are hard to explain. Polanco against Medlin might be one of those. But for whatever reason, Polanco sees him well, hits him well. Medlin figures a righty on righty changeup. Why not?
That's another thing Medlin does. You'll see a lot of right-handers won't use the changeup against righties. There was a long period of time that Tom Glavine didn't use his against lefties. But the last 5-6 years of his career, he realized, hey, that's a good pitch. It's my best pitch. Why not use it against left-handers?
That bounces in the dirt. I think at first blush, from far away, if you looked at the Marlins lineup, you might say, why is Polanco hitting in front of Morrison? And those numbers just were so overwhelming that Mike Rebben figured he'd slot Polanco behind Ruggiano. Morrison drew up second, and then Echeverria. Medlin, Tommy John surgery. Braves eased him back into the rotation by letting him pitch out of the bullpen.
Came out of the bullpen and pitched so well out of the bullpen. It was toward the end of July last year when he finally got in the rotation and went on that incredible run.
Polanco, a fly ball. Gaddis out there. And there's 1 hour poll question presented by AT&T. Will the Braves finish with the best win percentage in the National League? Hashtag ATL yes. Hashtag ATL no.
Good question. Good poll question tonight. My answer would be no.
You think the Dodgers?
I don't know if I would go Dodgers, but I think somebody else will. Dodgers or the Cardinals. And who knows if Cincinnati continues the run that they're on. I mean, Cincinnati comes into play. They've won 82 games.
I would hesitate to pick any of those 3 out of the Central because they're going to be playing each other and knocking each other off. But maybe that'll propel them to get hot and stay hot. As we pointed out, the Dodgers just got swept by the Reds and the Braves swept by the Phillies. So, I mean, you could look at the Braves schedule and say, oh, it's filled with teams they should beat. That's not always easy in September because they've got the Padres, the Marlins here for 4.
They got the Nationals. After that, they got the Cubs for a 3-game series. They have Milwaukee. But they finished with a 4-game series against the Phillies, who gave them trouble at Citizens Bank Park.
Now you talk about Tom Glavine and how he used to move the ball, or even at Greg Maddux. That's the front door fastball, where instead of a backdoor breaking ball, it's a front door fastball that comes back and catches the inside part of the plate against left-handed bats. Broken bat, Simmons out for it, and he makes the catch.
Yeah, as a left-handed hitter, you have a tendency to give up on it. At first sight, it looks like it's going to stay inside, and then that last-minute movement brings it on the inside corner.
Medlin taking a look at that baseball to make sure that the broken bat didn't do a whole lot of damage to the ball. Here's Echeverria again tonight, and for the rest of this series we have Phantom Cam here, one of the new toys for the crack staff, and it's a super duper extremely slow motion.
You know, this not a jam shot, but off the end of the bat. So you can see how when the ball gets right on the end of the bat, how that bat breaks. You were throwing, Rich, a lot of accolades toward Danny Echeverria. How about this one? He's 4th amongst major league rookies in hits.
Echeverria to center. Busy night already for Schaefer out there. That's the 3rd ball to him. And Medlin cruising right now in a scoreless game.
Coventry Healthcare of Florida.
In Miami, the Braves are here, and everyone trying to keep up with all the scores. Certainly, she's got the MLB At Bat app. And maybe not. Henderson Alvarez, though, has been terrific. And Alvarez, when he's on, he's got that sinker going and ground balls aplenty. And all the outs that he's recorded have been ground ball outs. Andrelton Simmons, the versatile Elliott Johnson, and Chris Medlin in the third.
And the guys, Rich, that Henderson Alvarez has to be careful of are the left-handed bats. Right-handers this year hitting 206 against Alvarez. Left-handers hitting 323. So he has to be careful and make good pitches to the lefties.
Breaking ball misses down low. Andrelton Simmons out of Curacao. 15 home runs this season, most by a Braves shortstop since Jeff Blauser.
Jeff Blauser.
And look at the club record by Dennis Menke in 1964. Dieter's favorite player, Dennis Menke. Dennis Menke was a great Houston Astro, or a Colt 45 and then an Astro.
Colt 45, then an Astro. Along with Claude Ramon and Rusty Staub.
Full count, 3-2. Simmons, one of the many terrific young players out of the Netherlands. He doesn't look like he's feeling too good after that swing. He stepped out, takes another swing.
It didn't look too bad on that swing, though.
No,
it might have been a decoy.
One of those young shortstops that was not in the big leagues most of the year, just got up and hit a long home run for the Boston Red Sox.
Xander Bogaerts.
Yep.
Yeah. They just keep coming.
Guy that our friend Craig Shipley likes an awful lot. Simmons is still walking around after each swing. If you're watching from home, hop on the laptop or the iPad. Go to Facebook, Twitter. Keep you up to date with the Marlins, all your other favorite Florida sports teams. To third, Polanco, and he gets the out.
And yet another ground ball out. So 7 outs have all been recorded via the ground. Watch sinkers working.
The Washington Nationals got a little news about Bryce Harper today. He had, remember, during the Marlins series, gone back up to Washington, have that hip examined. Inflammation, and he'll miss 2 games. Which I think for the Nationals is pretty good news, considering it sounds like they're going to get him back. Elliott Johnson. And Johnson takes up the interesting year of Elliott Johnson. The Marlins have been along for both ends of it. The bitter end at Kansas City. Remember the struggles he was having on an 0 for 31 and made a couple of bad defensive plays against the Marlins, was getting booed in Kansas City of all places.
I think he was like 1 for his last 51.
When they finally cut him loose, and then the Braves signed him because the Braves, with all their outfield injuries, and knew that he's a versatile type guy, have signed him, and he immediately gets a couple of really big hits for the Braves, and is a very popular guy now in Atlanta. That last pitch, a called strike. Johnson didn't like the call from Rob Drake.
Let's see if this ball kind of moves back. It just stays right there. It's a little off the plate. Got the call, but I tell you what, if any of Elliott Johnson's teammates with the Braves don't believe his stories from Kansas City, they can just ask any of the Marlins. Because they were there.
That's right.
Oh, yeah, they were booing me. You wouldn't believe it. Nah, come on. You're a good guy. They wouldn't do that.
Here's the 1-0 to Medlin. Medlin can run into one. He's homered this year. He's driven in 4 runs.
Medlin, one of the few pitchers that is a switch hitter.
Alvarez with the count 2-1.
All of a sudden, all you want to do is throw a strike, and he's falling behind 3-1 to Medlin.
It's the technical foul free throw. It's the 3-foot putt. It's the guy wide open over the middle. I mean, it's that play in sports that should be automatic, by all accounts is automatic, but then when you have to do it and you're expected to do it, you just can't. And that's throwing strikes to a pitcher.
And it's something that Alvarez has been just tremendous at this year, and that's not walking guys. He came into this game, he'd walked just 18 batters in over 70 innings. So a couple of walks tonight.
So it's top of the order. It's Jordan Schaefer. Little tapper to third. Polanco on to first. And Alvarez with 3 shutout innings so far. Usually finds a way to work a gator cap into the telecast, but he can't bear to do it. Our director, Jim Hawley, is a Tiger fan, so that's what we get, a Tiger cap here in Miami. Let's check in with Craig Minervini. Craig?
Yeah, we'll have some more Tiger caps in here at the end of the month when the Tigers wrap up the regular season against the Marlins right here at Marlins Park. Tigers are one of those teams that has done very well against their own division, and that is a staple of the teams that look like they're going to the postseason. So many games in your own division, if you could beat up on your own, that you're going to put you in good standing. Look at that. The Texas Rangers are 26 games over against the AL West, their own division, including 14-2 against Houston, 11-3 against the Angels. The Braves have really mashed Washington this year. They're 12-4 against the Nets, 10-5 against the Marlins. Detroit is 39-25. They beat up on Cleveland to the tune of 15 out of 19. And St. Louis has beaten the Brewers 10 out of 13 to run their record in the division to 39-28. Talked to Freddie about one bugaboo, though. His ball club is the road record is under 500. But, you know, he says, look, we want to win some more on the road. You can't put your finger on it. But we have won enough, and we were shooting for number 1 overall that have that home field advantage. We'll see if they can get it, guys. They got a couple of game edge.
All right, thank you, Craig. Chris Medlin back to work, bottom of the third. Jeff Mathis, Henderson, Alvarez, and Chris Coughlin. 1 hit in the ball game, and it was Coughlin's single back in the first.
Yeah, Rich, the Braves 51-20 at Turner Field. So that's why they want to have that home field advantage.
That one misses. Here's the Toyota Trend. There's the road woes. 34-37. Only division leader with a losing road record. Netherland gets a strike. It's 1-2.
If you could pinpoint one thing about the Braves since Jason Hayward was hit and broke his jaw, hit by Jonathan Neese, the Braves have gone 8-8. And they had started to use Hayward at the top of the order.
And he was hot.
And that's an area that they've struggled with lately. Getting guys on for McCann, for Gaddis, for Upton, for Johnson, for all those guys.
One, two.
And whether Hayward comes back is still up in the air. He had, from what I heard today, some wiring removed from the jaw. He's able to eat a little bit of solid foods. He's been doing some light baseball work, but it's still going to be a while, and I know they'd like to get him into some games to get ready, if he is ready by chance for postseason.
Boy, you hear that from a lot of teams that are headed towards the postseason, that have guys that are injured, that they want to rehab them, want to get them back.
Tough part about now,
there's no games.
There are no games. All the minor leagues are done.
Yeah, I mean, there's some instructional. Fall ball is about to begin, but it's just not the same. The Reds are in that spot with Johnny Cueto right now. They'd like to get him to the point where he could start a game in October, but they may not be able to. He may be limited to 3 innings at a time. Mathis sends it right center, hits it well. Justin Upton is there and he makes the catch.
Tell you what, Justin Upton was playing at deep right field. Got to that ball easily.
Were you aware, Tommy, this copyright telecast presented by the authority of the Marlins may not be reproduced, retransmitted in any form, and accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Marlins.
You know, I was aware of that, but I wasn't sure when you were going to throw it out there.
I feel like I should add a VIN number to that. Here's Alvarez, and he just takes such a mighty hack up there for a pitcher. And more often than not, he runs into it because Alvarez cranked one out at Wrigley Field on a night where the ball really wasn't carrying. And he ducks out of the way of that breaking ball. Watch this. It was a day, and it wasn't carrying.
He didn't hold back on that swing either. He has 7 hits this year and 6 RBIs.
Swing and a miss, and Medlin finishes him off. So Medlin, after giving up the hit to Coughlin, retires 8 straight, and now he gets Coughlin with 2 outs in the bottom of the 3rd. Rich Waltz, Tommy Hutton, Craig Minervini, Jeff Conine. Phantom Cam is with us. Phantom Cam, Tommy, you can actually adjust the settings to, much like your iPad, and you can dial it all the way up to, there's Glenn, just back from the U.S. Open. Glenn can dial that up to 5,000 frames per second. Right now, I think he's got it right around 3,600 or 3,420 to be exact.
Glenn, multi-talented, can fill many roles and can handle Phantom Cam. Not every cameraman can do that, I don't think.
The funny thing about Phantom Cam, as technical as it is, as rare as it is, as expensive as it is, it looks like a little piece of junk, doesn't it? I mean, it looks like the beta cams from back in the 80s.
You could pick one up over at Radio Shack.
I mean, all the other cameras that are sitting around here are these huge cameras. Look at those things. Now that looks like a big, expensive camera. But apparently it's the lens a fixed lens. It can't be zoomed in or out. Up the middle, Coughlin's got another hit, and Chris continues to swing a hot bat.
Yeah, the only 2 hits now that Medlin has allowed have been 2 sharply hit singles by Chris Coughlin. So he continues. You mentioned the game he had against the Nationals. Cogs was 4 for 14 in that series, so 6 base hits, 16 ABs.
Here's some of Glenn's best work.
Look at that. Look at the head on the ball and movement on that bat hot wavers.
It's a very cool look. So a couple hits for Coughlin. Solano with 2 outs, fly to center back in the first.
Now we talked about Placido Polanco's numbers against Medlin. Donovan Solano 5 for 11 now, and remember he had that 2-homer game against Chris Medlin in Atlanta last year.
I believe those were those his first 2 major league homers?
Yes. So Solano with 2 home runs this year has 4 career home runs and 2 against Medlin.
Now, Medlin's run of starts without a loss, which highlighted the strong finish for the Braves last year, wasn't ended till this year. Tommy, you talked about the 1-loss record that he had in that stretch.
Because they didn't count the game, the postseason game, in that run.
Right. He had made a string of 23 straight regular season starts in which the Braves won. The longest such streak in Major League history. And the longest since a 22 straight start without a loss streak by Whitey Ford. Anytime you can do something that Whitey Ford did and then get past Whitey Ford, you've accomplished something. Whitey Ford did it twice in the 1950 and 1953 seasons.
Well, there are 2 things that go along with that. Obviously, you have to pitch well, extremely well. Secondly, you have to have a good team behind you and a good offense. And the Yankees certainly had that behind Whitey Ford.
Yeah, got sawed off. Simmons has to hurry, and he just gets it over there and makes the play. Andrelton Simmons outraces the ball and beats Donovan Solano to first base. Couple hits, that's it for the Marlins tonight. Now that's a cool shot. The Marlins and the Braves on a Thursday. 12:40 afternoon start. Braves, Marlins. And if you visit your local Subway restaurant, get a voucher for a discounted $5 ticket. Of course, all seniors 55 and older get complimentary tickets on Senior Ticket Thursday, presented by Wellmax Medical Centers. But that's the end of a 4-game series. It's an afternoon on Thursday. The Marlins will hit the road right after that ball game and head to New York for what is a 4-game series with the Mets. You keep forgetting that Saturday is an actual doubleheader.
You got a Friday night, you got a Saturday doubleheader, and then a Sunday afternoon game. And then on to Philadelphia.
It's game on. Upton cranks one to right. Coughlin looks up. That ball bangs off the wall. Coughlin played it well. Upton on his way to second, and he's just in there with a double. And so Atlanta has their first hit. It's a leadoff double by Justin Upton in the 4th in front of the big bats coming up.
Gives you an indication of the kind of power Justin Upton has. That ball got over Coughlin's head quickly. If there's one thing Chris doesn't have as a right fielder, it's a right fielder's throwing arm. Played that ball extremely well. Came in with a nice accurate throw, but just not in time to get Upton. That snaps an 0 for 18 that Justin Upton was on.
Now Freeman. And Alvarez misses inside. To the National League leaders with runs batted in. Paul Goldschmidt, Brandon Phillips, Alan Craig, and Freeman, the two guys that have had great years with runners in scoring position. And Freeman bangs it foul and out of play.
That's incredible when you maintain that kind of average with runners in scoring position for an entire season.
For Alan Craig, he's kind of maintained that average his entire career. Not that it's been a long career. Freeman shoots that down the left field line. It drops for a hit. It's picked up there by Yelich, and holding at third is Upton. Freeman ends up with a double. And I'm not sure if Justin Upton got a great read on that ball, but he stopped at third base. Here's a look.
Remember, there was a ball, I believe, yesterday or the day before that Christian Yelich made a dive for and missed it, and it ended up being a triple. I think he had thoughts of that and then realized that he wasn't going to get there. So was able to get to it. Freeman gets the double, and I'm really surprised Upton didn't score. He paused, but he's got enough speed, he could have scored. But there's nobody out.
And here is Gaddis. It's not often you get back-to-back doubles and don't get a run out of it. And that initial replay, you could see Upton leave the bag and then stop. And with Yelich running into the corner, there's no way Yelich is going to, even if he makes the catch, spin and throw Justin Upton out if he's even 3/4 of the way towards third. Gaddis pulls one fair down the line. Boy, how did he keep that ball fair? Upton scores. Freeman scores. Gaddis knocks in 2. And Atlanta has a 2-0 lead. You talk about quick hands. That violent swing that Gaddis has. He got the hands through. 3 doubles to open up the 4th.
Most hitters, if you get too quick on that, you pull that ball foul. You hit it well, but you pull it foul. He was able to bring his hands in, get to it, and with that powerful swing, shorten it up and keep it fair. So back-to-back-to-back doubles now.
Here's Brian McCann.
So here's the dilemma. If Jason Hayward gets back and gets in the lineup, this is probably what the Braves do to keep Gaddis in the lineup. Schaefer's the odd man out. Then you also have B.J. Upton. But if Gaddis is in left, they were playing Hayward in center, and then Justin Upton in right.
And the guy that maybe the highest paid player on the team, B.J. Upton, is not in the lineup.
But as we found out over the years, those things seem to work their way through.
Yeah, they do. I mean, you can be worried about having too much pitching or too many outfielders, too many this or too many that, and then you turn around and you don't have enough of it in a real hurry. Here's the 2-1 pitch, and it's out. I wasn't here. You were in 2003 when the Marlins had to make some shifts come postseason time, with Mike Lowell coming back from an injury and Miguel Cabrera having to figure out a new position.
The thing about Miguel Cabrera, it seemed like you just put him anywhere, it didn't matter. He'd hit. You knew he was going to hit wherever he was, whether it was first base, left field, right field, third base.
Now, piece it together for me, because as I remember it, Lowell busted his hand.
Lowell got hurt.
Marlins acquired Conine.
Jeff Conine was acquired in flight.
Right. Cabrera had come up. Boog's great call of his debut, the walk-off home run
against Tampa.
And so by the time the Marlins got to the postseason.
But you knew you wanted Mike Lowell back with his defense.
Right.
At third base.
And so Cabrera ends up in the outfield.
So it all works out. And it all did in 2003.
3-2. Pitch misses in. And McCann trots down to first. Well, you were right about talking the Braves lineup through, in that there really aren't any issues except the top of the lineup, because once you get past the top of the lineup, it's pretty thick. When the guy who's battling for a batting title is your number 6 hitter, Chris Johnson. That's a thick lineup. And up comes Johnson. Chuck Hernandez out to talk to Alvarez. Marlins Live, driven by your South Florida Honda dealers. Craig Minervini, Jeff Conine. From the spaceship out in center field.
Yeah, there were games in the postseason that Miguel Cabrera started playing third. Then when Mikey Lowell came back, he played some games in left. He played some games in right. Some games Jeff Conine played in left. And in those games, Miggy was in right.
Here's Johnson. An 0-for-1 night so far. Last Brave to win a batting title was Chipper Jones.
And here's a guy, you don't want to put him in that category, but he's basically replacing Chipper Jones.
And I don't think anybody saw this coming. The fact that Johnson would hit as well as he has and be in there every day. Remember, it was it Juan Francisco who was getting some time at third base?
Early in the year, that was going to be kind of a platoon. They battled it out in spring training. Francisco, a left-handed hitter.
Johnson 2 points ahead of Michael Kadire to open play for the batting title. And he gets a little looper that's going to fall for a hit. He's got another hit. Up with the ball is Coghlan. Runner comes home. Coughlin's throw to the plate, just off the plate. Gaddis scores. And the Braves stretch the lead to 3-0.
As bad of a jump as Justin Upton got, Gaddis got a great jump to realize that ball was going to drop. I mean, this ball's off the end of the bat by Chris Johnson. Breaking ball, it's up. Anytime a pitch is up, it's easier for that hitter to get to. He got a good jump. Gaddis did. And outruns the throw to the plate.
I think Chris Coghlan would like to have this one over.
If it's on the money, got a chance to get him, but a little bit offline. What's amazing, after cruising along 3 innings, no hits, all the ground ball outs, and Henderson Alvarez has not recorded an out here in the 4th inning.
Upton's double was over the head of Coghlan in right. Freeman then doubled down the left field line. Gaddis hooked a ground ball just inside the bag at third for a double. And that one lined to right. Coghlan is there, makes a running catch. Both runners tag. Coglan's throw cut off by Morrison's right foot. And there's an out. Runners are at the corners.
Well, the Marlins would love to get a starter to get deeper into a game. Jacob Turner 4 innings. Evaldi went 3. The last starter to go deep into the game was Jose Fernandez in his 7 innings.
Even before that, Brian Flynn 4 innings. Tom Kohler 4 1/3.
So you get all those, and all of a sudden that bullpen has been really worked hard.
1st and 3rd with 1 out. Here's Elliott Johnson. Got the pitcher Medlin on deck. Johnson lines one into right field. That's a base hit. And the Braves just keep hitting and scoring. Even the out that was recorded this inning was hit hard. The line drive by Simmons.
Yeah, this is what we were talking about last 5 Marlins starts. The man in the middle, the youngster, is the only one who's been solid. He's the only one that hasn't looked like he's run out of gas.
He's the only one that looks like he's not 21. And he is.
Well, mark it down. He's pitching Wednesday night against Mike Minor. Good matchup. Braves terrific left-hander. And it will be the last start of the year for Jose Fernandez, Wednesday night. Let's see how the Braves play this with Medlin up there.
There's a chance of a bunt. It's a tricky play defensively. Got the cat and mouse game going at third base with Polanco and Johnson. Johnson knows the drill. He's a third baseman, so
yeah, he followed Polanco right behind him about a step or two.
If Medlin does drop this ball down the third base line and Polanco has to make a play, Johnson has a shot to score. Or if, you know, one of the advantages here, you talked to Joe Madden about this play, is the first baseman is holding the runner at first. And so if you get a decent bunt down the first base line and you have a good heads up runner with a good jump, he can score that way too.
Well, the first 2 innings, Henderson Alvarez threw 18 pitches. In innings 3 and 4 so far, he's thrown 40.
Of course, the whole thing doesn't work unless you get the ball down, and Medlin pops it up, fouling out of play. Brad Hand in the bullpen.
There's some thought that Brad Hand may start one of those doubleheader games in New York on Saturday.
One of the things Miami has going in this spot, if Medlin again is bunting with 2 strikes, is that Alvarez is pretty good around the mound. He does bunt it, and it's foul. That will be a strikeout. And we check in with Craig Minervini. Craig?
Yeah, guys, Mike Redmond and Chuck Hernandez have been working out the schedule. They try to actually go for the rest of the season, work ahead, see where guys are going to pitch. And you're right, Tommy. It looks like Brad Hand's going to start the second game of the doubleheader. And maybe it looks like Brian Flynn will then take over Jose Fernandez's spot, at least in the short term. Maybe for the season, we'll see after Jose's final start on Wednesday. But this is something they sort of map out on a calendar day by day. They try to work ahead even during the season early in the year, 2 weeks ahead, and get the pitchers' spots all set up. A little organization behind the scenes for the coaching staff.
Yeah, you're right, Craig. And there's coaching staffs around baseball right now that are trying to piece together the rest of the year, resting young starters or injured players. You know, I've not really seen that all that often, but what happened there, Alvarez threw the ball over to first. It was in the dirt. Morrison picked it. Joe West, the umpire at first, had Morrison throw the ball out of play, much like a home plate umpire would do for a pitch. Runner goes, and Mathis will eat it. It's a stolen base for Elliott Johnson. Well, Elliott Johnson's done a little bit of everything here. He's singled, he's driven in a run, he's stolen a base. Schaefer up. And that wild pitch kicks away from Mathis, who fires it by Alvarez. Polanco picks it up. Braves have another run. Johnson scores. What a messy inning it's been for Henderson Alvarez.
This is what we've talked about numerous times this year, Rich, when we've seen Jose Fernandez out there. The 20/21-year-old has been able to, when he hasn't had everything, get it back together and hasn't allowed an inning to unfold like this one is.
Composure. Solano backhands and throws him out, but the Braves have a big inning. 5-run inning and a 5-0 lead. Atlanta erupts. Brought to you by Honda. Visit your Honda dealer for great lease and finance deals on fuel-efficient Hondas. And by Coventry Healthcare of Florida, lighting the way to better health. Fun with Phantom Cam. Well, I mean, they had to test it, Tommy. The crack staff had to figure out how to use it.
Yeah.
How it operated. So a variety of props, and including some Marlin players who went out to help. That frog that you saw flying through the air was actually thrown by Steve Cishek.
It's a good frisbee frog slider. Remember, Medlin got Christian Yelich in the first inning, struck him out, and threw him a couple of really good changeups.
Medlin's only bumps in the road have been 2 Chris Coughlin hits in the first and in the third. Ruggiano and Polanco follow Yelich. Bottom 4. 5 runs on 5 hits for Atlanta, and all of that came in the 4th, the top of this inning. Rob Drake calls a strike. We've got Joe West at first, Sam Holbrook at second, Andy Fletcher at third, and Brad Hand.
Got to figure we're going to see Brad Hand.
Yelich walks. So a leadoff walk here in the 4th.
And to be honest, Henderson Alvarez in that situation where, I mean, a lot of the pitchers we've talked about with innings and getting close to numbers, but Alvarez coming into this game 70 2/3 innings because he missed a good part of the year early in the year with that shoulder injury.
Here's Ruggiano. Ruggiano flied to center back in the 1st. There's that changeup to a right-hander. And Medlin's out in front 0-2.
Boy, the Washington Nationals, Rich, on to New York, and in their game against the Mets, they're in the 5th inning. The Nationals have already hit 4 home runs. Span, Zimmerman, Worth, and Tyler Moore.
Into the bat, and Upton's going to trot in and make the catch. Tyler Moore for good measure.
Yeah, playing in place of Bryce Harper. Yeah, Span and Zimmerman started the game with back-to-back home runs.
Now Polanco in that 5 spot because of his success, almost to an excess, against Chris Medlin, who keeps showing off that really quick move, the great feet.
I mean, he's kind of built like an infielder. Medlin, second baseman. Not sure if he played there at Santa Ana Junior College, but that's where he was drafted out of by the Braves. And not a high pick, a 10th round pick.
Polanco left center. Gaddis takes a wide route and then ends up back on the highway and makes the catch. You always wonder about a scout's report when a team does draft a guy like Medlin, because part of what a scout is looking for is how will a player project 4 or 5 levels up from single A, double A, triple A to the major leagues, starting in rookie ball. And some of that, to a fault at times, is stature. Is a guy big? And there are many players that, despite not having the body type that scouts are looking for, are able to get the job done. And this is Exhibit A.
Well, to be quite honest, there are organizations that will not draft a pitcher that's under 6 feet.
Morrison fouls it off. Here's Phantom Cam of Medlin's delivery.
Obviously, because of his stature, very compact. It's the arm and just a good spot.
I don't know this, but I would expect that Phantom Cam, in some form or another, used by some organizations that really stress biomechanics. I know the Milwaukee Brewers have done a lot of that. I think the Mets have done it as well. Actually, I take that back. I don't know if it's the Mets. I think it's the Baltimore Orioles. The Orioles and the Brewers are the two that really have studied biomechanics. And I would expect that some form of Phantom Cam is used in that. Morrison drives it center, hits it deep. Schaefer on the run, reaches, makes the catch at the track. Ball's hit a long, long way. And a frustrated Logan Morrison watches that one end up in Schaefer's glove. 5-0 Braves.
It's for the love of the game. For the love of the game. When I'm on the court, swoosh the ball. When I'm on the track, passing all of y'all. When I'm in the car, I move too fast.
And all Phantom Cam rejoined in a game dominated right now by the Atlanta Braves. The Marlins trail it 5-0. Atlanta, all 5 hits and all 5 runs in the 4th. Now, the Marlins are going to make a pitching change, and to do that, they're going to make a double switch.
Well, we saw Brad Hand warming up. Ed Lucas comes in the double switch. There, I think, good and bad news about a double switch like this. The good news, obviously, Mike Redmond wants to extend his pitcher and get as many innings out of Brad Hand as he can. We saw Hand the other night pitch a nice inning in the Jose Fernandez game. But the downside is that you take the left-handed bat of Logan Morrison out of the game. And with Stanton not playing in the game, and now Logan Morrison out of the lineup, not a lot of pop out there on the field.
So 4 innings, 5 hits, 5 runs for Alvarez, who was dynamite the first 3 and then fell apart in the 4th. And now here is Hand, who made a relief appearance the other night.
Yeah, in the game that Jose Fernandez pitched. He pitched a nice inning after working at AAA New Orleans this year. when we've seen Brad Hand, the bottom line is his stuff, being a lefty, is certainly good enough to win up here at this level when he's consistent with it. A little breaking ball once in a while, then fastball not overpowering, and then his changeup. But there are times that he's just really struggled throwing strikes.
And he's come in here and gone 3-0 to Justin Upton. Upton started the hit parade in the 4th. 3 consecutive doubles opened the inning. And a walk to Upton. Here comes Freeman, and here comes the Just for Men mustache and beard play like a champ profile. Justin Ruggiano, since the 14th of August, since snapping in Kansas City, that 0 for 42, 377 average, 3 doubles, 4 homers. Now Freeman. There's a saying in baseball that when you get to September, everybody is hurt. Everybody is playing with something that's sore. And Freeman is one of those guys. Freeman's had some leg issues, but he's played through it.
Yeah, we saw him play, especially in that series in Atlanta, on a knee that certainly wasn't 100%. He's done a pretty good job hitting against left-handers this year, 273. But just 2 of his 19 home runs against lefties.
Top 10 in on-base percentage. As we've noted, he's second with runners in scoring position. In the air, Coughlin. That was a roof scraper, and Upton's going to tag from first, and he's going to get to second. That seemingly was about as high as you could hit it without the ball hitting something up there.
And that goes back to what we were talking about with the arm. A good arm, but not a right fielder's arm for Chris Coughlin. So Upton knew that. He went back and tagged up.
In a ballpark where you need...
He doesn't do that if Stanton's out there. He doesn't do that if Ozuna or Marisnik or one of the guys, or even Ruggiano.
In this ballpark, you almost need a right fielder's arm in right, center, and left.
Yes. And that's to take absolutely nothing away from Chris Coughlin, because he's shown that he can play all 3 of the outfield spots as well as a little third base.
Because Christian Yelich probably doesn't have a right fielder's arm.
No, he doesn't. But your point's a good one. In this ballpark, you need a right fielder's arm in all 3 spots.
Here's Gaddis. I think those that find the programs on TV, like the Shark Week and those animal ones where you got the Phantom Cam out in the wilderness, animals getting eaten and stuff, would enjoy standing behind the cage and watching Evan Gaddis take batting practice. It's violent. The power is awesome.
It's a different. I mean, he has unbelievable power. So does Giancarlo, and we watch him take BP all the time. But it is a different type BP.
It is, because Gaddis is. I mean, Stanton's power is almost an elegant power. This is something different. No batting gloves. You expect that as he grips the bat, you'd see sawdust come down. Goes down and chops that one to third. Polanco's throw is in time at first. FPNL scoreboard from around the league. As Tommy pointed out, the Nationals are playing long ball in New York against the Mets. The Reds, coming off the high of their sweep of the Dodgers, have promptly come out and fallen behind the Cubs. The Dodgers have moved on back home, and they've got Arizona tonight. The Rockies and the Giants will be playing. Be interesting to see Yusmeiro Petit's next start.
Everybody wants to look at the schedules and try to say, well, the Reds, they have the Cubs, they have an easy schedule, but it doesn't matter this time of year.
The Cans walked twice. Upton out at second. Atlanta on top. Brad Hand to the plate. Chaska, Minnesota. I can remember when Hand made his Major League debut at Sun Life Stadium. There were a lot of folks around from Chaska, Minnesota.
Absolutely. I remember this year one time getting an email on Email Twitter Tuesday
from his mom.
So get the computer fired up. It's Email Twitter Tuesday tomorrow night.
I think she gave us tips on where to eat for the Marlins short trip into Minnesota.
That's right. Not knowing that we would be snowed out and have an opportunity to have a nice meal.
Breaking ball misses in to McCann. Yeah, the Marlins got in there in April, mid-April in Minnesota. A 2-game series. Marlins got snowed out the first day, and then the next day, remember, was the start in which Fernandez was supposed to start the night game, and Ricky the first game. That got switched in the morning, and it was freezing in the day game, and it was freezing in the night game. 3-1 on the ground. Solano, nice stop, and he gets the out at first base. Saves a run, does Donovan Solano, and a nice play. Brad Hand, an inning in the books, but the Marlins still down 5-0. Corona Light Marlins watch party. It's a way to get together with your friends. Come on down and see the Marlins on the 13th at Sports Grill in Kendall. Marlins and Mets at 7:10. Prizes and tickets to upcoming games. Billy, the Energy team will be there. Tommy, great wings and Corona Light specials at Sports Grill in Kendall. For more information, go to marlins.com.
How about the night of Chris Medlin so far? Of the outs he's recorded, 9 fly ball outs, 1 ground ball out, and a couple of strikeouts.
Had to look it up because you touched upon it. He did play shortstop in junior college and pitched.
when you see a guy his size and the way he moves over to first base with the quickness of his feet, yeah, you have to kind of think that about him.
Danny Echeverria, Jeff Mathis, and Henderson Alvarez. Echeverria breaking ball and a strike. Rather, Brad Hand. Breaking ball, swing and a miss. All right, I admit it, my scorebook's a mess. My double switch got triple switched. Medlin misses in. Chris Coughlin has the only 2 hits for Miami. Coughlin in the first and the third. And has hit them both hard. Other than that, Medlin's been pretty good. Morrison ended the fourth with about a 390-foot fly ball to right center field for an out.
Nice one-hand stab by Joe Espada down there. Infielder drafted by the Athletics. Same draft as Eric Chavez.
Who broke up that no-hitter by Yusmeiro Petit, that perfect game bid the other night. Echeverria swings and misses. Medlin will double up, he'll triple up, he'll quadruple up on that changeup.
Boy, the more and more you start thinking, especially if he gets on the kind of roll he was on last year, you have to wonder how Freddie will set up his rotation. You know, the 3 top guys right now are Minor, Tehran, and Medlin.
Well, you wonder too who the Braves will play if the Braves play, say, the St. Louis Cardinals, who for whatever reason have struggled against lefties. Maybe Minor's your number 1 guy because you could use him at least in that 5-game series. You can use him twice.
I think that's what it'll come down to. But then you also have in Minor and Tehran young guys who are getting up there in innings pitched, getting into territory they've never been before.
Mathis swings and misses. Medlin has punched out the first 2 of the 5th inning. Here's your playoff picture. If it ended today, the wild card playoff would be between the Pirates and the Reds because the Cardinals just swept the Pirates. The Braves, in the division series, would play the winner of that, and the Cardinals and the Dodgers would square off. And the division series format has changed this year as well. Last year it was a 2-3, and the 2 was the wild card team got to host. Now it's 2-2-1. So the team with the best record gets the first 2, then back to the next city for the next 2, and then if there is a deciding game 5, it's to the team with the home field advantage.
I like that. I think that's fair. Some way or another, you have to be rewarded because this is a long season, and you have to be rewarded for putting together a good season and winning a lot of games.
I certainly will not be rewarded for trying to figure out the double switch.
But that's Ed Lucas hitting.
Yeah, thank you. I had penciled Lucas in Morrison's spot, 6th in the order. And that one is lined foul. Something American League broadcasters,
they don't have to worry about. It was a treat for us to do games in American League cities. We didn't have to worry about it.
Until it got to be about 3 hours and 20 minutes of game time, then you're thinking, I miss the National Anthem.
You know what? There's some long games now, too, in September.
Simmons sets up for that ground ball, throws out Ed Lucas. And Medlin just keeps rolling, set down 6 in a row. And he was used in relief somewhat today. Phantom Cam, fun with it. Steve Cishek, take it away.
Hi, I'm Steve Cishek, and this is Bullpen Trivia between Brad Hand and Chris Hatcher. And we're going to go with Hatcher first. Hatch, let's see here. Who in the bullpen is also known as the Bald Eagle?
Mike Dunn.
That is correct. Very good. Yeah. All right. Brad, who in the bullpen has the lowest GO-AO ratio? Wrong.
Well, essentially, our producer John Solser went to Steve Cishek to see if he'd be our host of Fun with Phantom Cam, and he jumped at the chance. And apparently there were rookies involved.
Kind of a setup there for Brad Hand.
Water balloons dropped from the parking garage on said rookies. All captured by Phantom Cam. And on Marlins Live, there'll be more fun with Phantom Cam. Throughout the night, you've seen some pretty cool baseball shots. Guys swinging through changeups, slides at the plate, broken bats. We'll have that camera working all the way through Thursday afternoon. Rob Brantley into the ball game. Straight up, Tommy.
Straight up. No double switch here, Rich.
Thank you.
Rob in just to get some reps. That's what he needs at this level. So Mike Redmond seeing that, knowing that, making the move. And he certainly caught Brad Hand in AAA.
Up the middle, Solano fires to first in time. Let's check in with Craig Minervini. Craig?
Well, it's a Military Monday, as you guys know here, and the Marlins are honoring their military hero. Each team had one hero to send to New York for the All-Star game, and Sergeant First Class John Kloiber out of Edgewater was the Marlins selection. Congratulations. How was the All-Star game? Right on the field, you got introduced as one of the heroes.
Yeah, it was an awesome experience to meet, Jose Fernandez, and to just be on the field to represent the Marlins and represent America. It was truly a once-in-a-lifetime experience.
And Jose is the reason that you came here tonight. Tell me that.
We were standing after the Canadian national anthem was being played.
Oh, nice play there by Echeverria. Go on.
And he said, I want you to come to Miami to throw out the first pitch, and here I am tonight. And
I thought he was kidding.
Yeah, I thought he was kidding to me, and I told my wife and my friends, and they were like, yeah, right. And then he came through to his word.
Sergeant has had 9 deployments to Afghanistan. 9. Among his other stops, he's been all over the world. You're also a great Marlin fan, even though you grew up in Daytona Beach, not in South Florida.
No.
You're a big Marlin fan.
Oh, diehard. I love the Marlins. Every time I go to Afghanistan, I even had a Marlins flag flown when they won the World Series in 2003.
Did you?
Yes.
Was there any either Cubs or Yankee fans there?
A lot of Yankees fans there. And I really wish that I would have been able to come for the World Series because my parents are Yankees fans. And
all right. Thank you very much, Sergeant. Nice talking with you.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right, that's Sergeant John Kloiber. Marlins down 5-0 as we go to the bottom of the 6th inning here at Marlins Park.
Atlanta getting all their runs and all their hits, for that matter, in the 4th, and that knocked Henderson Alvarez out of the game. Chris Medlin has been terrific for Atlanta. He'll face Chris Coghlan, Donovan Solano, and Christian Yelich in the 6th, and Coghlan has both hits for the Marlins. First of 4 here in Miami.
A couple of nice innings so far from Brad Hand. That's good to see.
As you pointed out, Hand stands to make a couple starts at the very least as this season winds down.
Well, it sounds like he's going to start one of those games, maybe game 2 of the doubleheader in New York Saturday.
Coghlan fouls it back. By the way, this programming note: on the Saturday in New York, the Marlins play a doubleheader, 4 o'clock game followed by another game shortly after that.
Yeah, usually
ends.
about 30 minutes in between.
Fox Sports Florida will televise the first game of that doubleheader. So the 4 o'clock game will be on TV. Coghlan, broken back grounder up the middle. High throw. Coghlan is at first. The ball ends up in the dugout.
Had a good chance to be a base hit. That's a difficult play by Elliott Johnson. He had a long way to go. He had to be perfect with the throw. Sounded like Coghlan broke his bat. And I don't think that's one where you look at it and you say, well, if the throw's there, he gets him. You have to consider the degree of difficulty.
Hit and an error.
All right, good job. Cogs 3 for 3.
Phantom cam. Let's watch the bat, see where it breaks.
Yeesh. That's the second one tonight we've seen on the end of the bat, and the bat shattering.
Solano now. Slices one down the right field line. Foul. Chris Coghlan with a 3 for 3 night going. And that really is the only highlight for the Marlins here tonight.
Yeah, Cogs just lifted his average. 278, came into the game at 265.
Even the T-shirt gun has misfired tonight, Tom.
Not sure whose assignment that'll be to bring that down after the game.
Bouncer to short. Simmons makes the play to first. Wow, you just load the T-shirt gun up with more T-shirts and start firing away. Try to knock it off, right?
I see Chris Coughlin getting hits the way he has. You just think back to that Rookie of the Year season when in August he had 47 hits, and in September he hit 385 in August. September he hit 390 and had 53 hits in the month, which pretty much won him Rookie of the Year right there.
But it's great to see him healthy. It was great to see him swing the bat as well as he did early in the season. And now to fight back from another injury and get back in the lineup and keep swinging it well. The Marlins can use offense anywhere they can get it. And I think this ball game is somewhat of an example of how little offense the Marlins have. They're down 5-0 midway through the game, and they'll double switch and take their best bat out, Logan Morrison. They swapped Brantley in for Mathis.
Well, we've talked about all year the number of games they've lost 2 runs or less, 1 run or less, and they've played a lot of close games. The Marlins have had 47 losses by 2 runs or less. Only the White Sox have lost more games by 2 runs or less,
which makes a 5-0 deficit feel a lot bigger. That's the moneymaker for Medlin.
Yeah.
That changeup.
The money pitch. And shows you that fastball inside. Just to get you thinking, get you maybe to be a little too quick for the changeup that he might come back with. Big series going on in Baltimore tonight. The Yankees and the Orioles. Orioles with a 3-run lead, or 3-1 lead in the 7th inning.
Medlin walks Yelich, and here comes Ruggiano.
That's the thing about Yelich. He may have a little trouble picking up Medlin, but he's walked his last 2 ABs.
A very mature understanding of the strike zone has always been the scouting report of Christian Yelich ever since the Marlins took him in the first round and he started his climb towards the big leagues.
His on-base percentage as a big leaguer about 360.
Coughlin at second, Yelich at first. Joe West will be behind the dish. This is one of the This is one of those series where all 4 umpires will rotate through and work home plate. West.
I think this crew was up in Boston for that Yankees Red Sox series.
West will be back there tomorrow. Ruggiano swings and misses the changeup. Sam Holbrook gets Wednesday night, and Andy Fletcher gets a getaway day. Getaway day is hard and tough and a scramble for major league teams. Can you imagine what getaway day is like for umpires who fly commercial and fly with their own luggage? Ruggiano fouls it back and out of play.
Yeah, they have game starts to stretch on, maybe go extra innings.
There's got to be like an umpire travel hotline.
Oh, they all have it on speed dial, I guarantee it.
They're all going to the same place. The crews generally stay together unless one's going on vacation. Ruggiano swings and misses, and he strikes out.
There's the breaking ball that Medlin will break out. They used it a couple of times from Ruggiano in that at bat. We see the fastball and the changeup.
A little slider, and he kept it away.
Polanco's flied out twice. Greg Dobbs has emerged on deck. The changeup is so good that, I mean, Medlin is almost teasing guys with it. Like, hey, here it comes, hit it. If Medlin gets Polanco, the Marlins would probably go another inning with Brad Hand. If they get a shot further in the inning and Polanco gets on, would be Dobbs.
You know, the Braves trying to snap their 4-game losing streak. Another little injury they're dealing with. Shouldn't keep him out too long. Scott Downs, a veteran left-hander they got, fractured a finger on his non-pitching hand on a comebacker the other day. But a key part of that bullpen, the big left-hander.
Well, at the very least, he can still throw and he can still stay in shape. It's not like he has to shut it down and not do anything.
Yeah, a lot of it's just getting something you can fit your glove on, make sure everything's comfortable. Good pitch count for Medlin at 90.
One-two pitch pulled on the ground. Johnson looks at second. There's nobody there. Elliott Johnson was all the way behind first, backing up the throw. And so that's where Chris Johnson went. Still 5-0 Braves. Top of the Marlins. Go to any Wednesday Marlins game, save up to 60% with the Chevron Crazy 8 ticket offer. Fill up at a participating Chevron, get $8 home run porch or $18 home plate box tickets. The deal's crazy. Visit your local Chevron or Marlins.com/Chevron for details. Restrictions apply. As expected, another inning of Brad Hand. Hand has looked sharp. 2 scoreless innings, the 5th and the 6th. Here comes the 7th.
Yeah, this is a nice little tune-up for him to get, if he gets through this inning, get 3 innings before making that start in New York. Like get your feet back on the ground after you've spent most of the year in AAA.
Here is Medlin. The switch hitter takes a fastball for a strike. In that Baltimore Yankee game, apparently both managers had to be restrained from going after each other. Joe Girardi and
that was early in the game, too.
Buck Showalter, and there's still some mystery as to what prompted Showalter to come out of the dugout screaming at Girardi, and then Girardi to come out screaming at Showalter. Both benches were able to contain their respective managers. How do you do that as a player if it's the manager you're trying to restrain? I mean, normally the manager is the guy trying to restrain the player.
Well, usually it's some of his coaching staff trying to restrain him, but first, remember when Brad Hand made his Major League debut in 2011 against these Braves, gave up just 1 run on 1 hit, a solo home run by a former Marlin, Alex Gonzalez, and went 6 innings and took the 1-0 loss.
Jordan Schaefer. And Schaefer swings and misses. Hand gets a strikeout. Brad Hand looking good.
This is the kind of pitcher, and who knows, it could be a Brad Hand. He's going to get an opportunity. This is the kind of pitcher you want to have in between Jose Fernandez and Nathan Eovaldi. 2 guys who throw 98. So you have Fernandez and you have Eovaldi come back next night and everybody's tuned up to a good fastball. But if you come back with a lefty who's off speed, good changeup, then you come back with Eovaldi, the hard thrower. It's a little different.
Pair of strikeouts here in the 7th. And here's Justin Upton.
So I'm already doing my homework for next year. Tell you what, the Cubs still beating Cincinnati 2-0. That's a Travis Wood. He's got a shutout going through 7.
Wood may have knocked in a run in that game. He's a very good hitting pitcher.
Now they've gotten a couple of solo home runs. Luis Valbuena and Ryan Sweeney.
Ryan Sweeney started to show some power. He'd gone his whole major league career and not hit many homers, and all of a sudden this year, is that 6 for him now? 6 or 7?
6.
And to the bat. Solano approaches, and Brad Hand. A very nice 3-inning effort from the lefty out of Chaska, Minnesota. A look at tomorrow's pitching matchup. Brought to you by Chevron. Tom Kohler for the Fish, Julio Teheran for the Braves. Teheran 11-7 with a 3.01 ERA. Kohler looking for win number 4 on the season. Downtown Miami, Marlins and Braves first of 4. The Braves trying to snap the 4-game skid after getting swept by the Phillies. Juan Pierre stands in. It would be nice over the last 3 weeks of this season, possibly the last 3 weeks of Juan Pierre's career, if he gets a few more of those. Knocks it into the corner. Pierre around first, on his way to second, and pulls in with a double.
All of a sudden, Juan Pierre has become a pinch hitter extraordinaire and getting closer and closer to Joe DiMaggio on the all-time hit list. High fastball. JP ready for it. That's hit number 2,213. Joe DiMaggio at 2,215. So just 2 away. And, I mean, think about that. He's 2 away of breaking DiMaggio at 2,214. Just think of that. The guy's on that list. And there's Juan Pierre right there. That's incredible.
It's very cool. Change up from Medlin. Echeverria swings and misses. Pulls it foul. It's 0-2.
So the Marlins have just 4 hits, 3 by Coughlin, a left-handed hitter, and the pinch hit by Juan Pierre. A lot of scouts in attendance. Get toward the end of the year, and a lot of the amateur scouts who've been scouting high schools, colleges, they get teams, professional teams, to pick up in September. And so it seems like in September we see there's 15 or 20 scouts here tonight.
We talked to a scouting director last week about that and why that happens. And teams want to get the amateur scouts in to watch major league games so they understand and get an idea of what they're looking for in a major league player.
That's a great point, and I think it's something that people don't realize because a lot of the scouts, a lot of the amateur scouts didn't play at the major league level. So that's a good idea to see them all year. They're seeing minor league teams or amateur players, and now they see what it takes to get one of those players at this level.
Two balls, 2 strikes. You were talking about the home runs that Washington hit right out of the chute. Bernard Span, a solo shot. Ryan Zimmerman, a solo shot to open up the ball game. Then Jason Worth, a 3-run shot. Tyler Moore, solo shot. Wilson Ramos just hit a 3-run home run.
They've hit 5 home runs at Citi Field.
9-0 Nationals over the Mets. Echeverria.
Not to mention that the recipient of all of those runs, who's pitched no-hit shutout ball through 6 innings, Gio Gonzalez, has not given up a hit through 6.
He has walked 1, has Gio Gonzalez.
And he's at 73 pitches, very manageable.
So Gio's got a shot.
He's got a shot.
That's a wake-up call for you, Hialeah. Get on it. Two balls, 2 strikes. This has been all Braves. since the 4th, and a little more light shed on the substitution with Rob Brantley. Jeff Mathis left the game with a right thumb contusion.
Marlins haven't had many runners at second base. It's only the second time, so McCann and Medlin trying to get on the right page.
Well, Medlin's thrown his changeup to Echeverria like 80% of the time tonight. Spins a breaking ball that misses in. Full count, 3-2. Got his hands through and pulls it into left field. Echeverria with a hit, and here comes Brantley for his first at bat of the night.
Good adjustment by Etch. Saw the breaking ball pitch before, and then Medlin tried to run that fastball, which he did on his hands, but Echeverria got enough of it.
See that chunk of bat flying off there. Look how far in that ball was. Pitch number 8. Up near 6. It's funny, sometimes as a pitcher you throw a pitch like that thinking the only thing he can do with it is hit foul, but Echeverria was able to get the hands through and keep it fair.
A quick visit from his pitching coach, Roger McDowell, Ayala, and Avilan, loosening up.
Now Brantley. Medlin starts him with a changeup.
There are times, and we've talked about it, and it was Jose Fernandez who got hurt with a first pitch changeup to Freddie Freeman. But there's a difference in his first pitch changeup and Medlin's first pitch changeup. Medlin's has movement. It's not hard. Jose's is 88, 89, close to a lot of guys' fastballs.
So if it's the first pitch you see all night,
you're just thinking, hey, maybe I got a bad fastball.
Yeah.
And that's what Freeman did. He hit a 2-run homer in the first inning. And in that game, that was all that Jose gave up.
He's back in Atlanta. And of course, Freeman, his next time up was sitting fastball, got a fastball, and doubled off the wall in center field. That, of course, prompted the great exchange when he got to second base with Fernandez turning and yelling at Freeman, "How do I get you out?"
He's had some good exchanges this year with some good hitters.
Breaking ball misses outside.
Troy Tulowitzki. Todd Helton.
Full count, 3-2. That's right. Tipped his cap to Helton when Helton had a milestone hit against him. Brantley swings and misses at a changeup.
How about a milestone hit last night for Jason Giambi, number 2,000 for the Giambino. Well, targets away, movement, and off the plate, he gets Brantley to chase it.
Ed Lucas now. Don't try it. There you go. It's a better idea than jumping over and grabbing it. Ed Lucas cranks one to left field. Gaddis goes back. Over his head, off the base of the wall. Pierre scores. Echeverria scores. And Miami's on the board. 5-2. Lucas second at bat. He came in the double switch for Morrison.
So the double switch pays off for Mike Redmond. Lucas puts a charge in one. Hardest hit ball tonight. Inside, didn't get there. And Ed Lucas was on time. And over the head of Gaddis for a 2-run double. And knocks Medlin out of the game.
So Medlin is out. It's 5-2. Braves go to their bullpen. A Metro PCS call to the pen. To knock Chris Medlin out of the ball game. Ed Lucas with a 2-run double. Luis Avilan, who has been really good out of the bullpen, 67 games. The losses of Eric O'Flaherty and Johnny Venters have been softened a bit by Avilan and his emergence.
And then helped out when they made the acquisition of veteran lefty Scott Downs, who we were talking about earlier.
Coghlan 3 hits, all coming against Medlin. And Coghlan has another hit. Lucas was going back to the bag, and he'll end up at third base.
Well, what a nice night for Chris Coghlan. And that's a tough lefty he's facing. He stays back, goes up the middle. You see Lucas, he has to do that. He has to make sure, especially when you're down by 3, he's got to make sure that ball gets through.
Four for 4 is Coghlan. Here's Solano. And the Marlins obviously trying to stay out of a double play here with 1 out. Braves infield looking for 2 at the corners. Avilan whips in a fastball and it's fouled out of play. A lot of offers in Miami's lineup. Medlin was really tough until the 7th inning. Unless your name was Coghlan. He was 3 for 3 against him. Fastball up. Ball and a strike. Braves saw Henderson Alvarez look very good for the first 3 innings, and then they jumped him. Second time through the lineup, the Braves exploded for the 5 runs and the 5 hits in the 4th inning.
Well, Chris Coughlin's young career, and you can still say it's a young career. It's his 7th 4-hit game. Never had a 5-hit game. Might have a chance.
Solano chasing a tailing fastball, and that is a big out for Avilan because now he gets the left-handed hitter in Yelich with 2 down.
Boy, look at that ball move. That ball started on the plate and then just went away from Solano, and he got him to chase it. It's a great pitch.
Oh, 1 to Yelich. If you go back to the 3rd week in March, Avilan is on a run of games, 46 of them, whereas ERA is under 1. It's 0.85. He's out front, 0-2.
Well, he's got a good fastball. We saw the movement on his fastball. He's got a curveball, a pretty good changeup.
Yelich hangs in there. Ed Lucas, 2-run double. Chris Coughlin over at first, a 4-hit night. Yelich takes away. 1-2. Check swing, didn't go. Left-handed hitters against Avilan are hitting $135. It's a good overhead look. And a breaking ball, and that's one of the reasons why $135. Avilan strikes out Solano and Yelich to finish the 7th.
Well, fourth inning was not a good one for Henderson Alvarez. A big two-base hit by Evan Gaddis quickly got the Braves on the scoreboard. The league's leading hitter, Chris Johnson, loops one, an RBI base hit. And how about Elliott Johnson playing second base in place of Dan Uggla? A wild pitch gets another run in, so the Braves scored 5 times in that fourth inning. The Marlins got a big base hit from Ed Lucas, a double over the head of Gaddis in left field, scoring 2. They did get 4 hits in that inning, but that was all, just the 2 runs. So that's how you see it right now with Dan Jennings coming in, a 5-2 Atlanta lead.
Jennings arrives at the Freddie Freeman part of the Braves order. Freeman, Gaddis, and Brian McCann. Jennings' year so far.
I think it's been a good learning year for Dan Jennings.
Count 1-0. Let's check in with Craig Minervini. Craig?
Rich, I don't know if you can see the sign here. 30 ballparks in 30 days. Eric Mueller is going around Major League ballparks, and you've been to 25 of the 30 to raise awareness for a problem that plagues many of us around the country, lymphoma and leukemia.
It's blood cancer is a big problem everywhere. Strikes everybody. It doesn't matter what your age is. Terrible disease. So since I was doing my trip, I figured maybe I could do some good and raise a little money, help research for cancer.
There's a website too.
There is. It's 30 Parks. That's 30parks30days.com, or on Facebook, 30 Parks 30 Days.
Emily Marquez is to the left here of Eric. You're the executive director of the local chapter here in South Florida. What's new and how much does this help?
Anything helps to build awareness for leukemia, lymphoma. Blood cancers are the second killer of children right now. But the most important thing is that we're here at the ballpark today because we're celebrating survivors. We have over 100 of them in the ballpark. So that's incredible today. Thanks to people like Eric that make it happen.
That is great. Now, let me just ask you a baseball, since you've been to all these places, Eric. What stadiums are standing out for you? What parks did you like?
Well, this is a brand new park for me, and this is a beautiful ballpark. Yeah. I really enjoy this. The old parks like Fenway, Wrigley are fun. AT&T in San Francisco was great. But I'm really enjoying this. This is a tremendous ballpark here.
You guys are doing great work. And again, here, raise that sign so we can see it. 30 Parks, 30days.com. Where are you off to next?
Driving up to Tampa tomorrow to the Trop.
All right, good job. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Okay. Rich?
Thank you, Craig. A little swing and a miss. And Evan Gaddis strikes out. Dan Jennings has a couple of outs to open up the 8th.
Rich, I have kind of bad news for our friends in Hialeah. Zach Lutz got a pinch hit single off Gio Gonzalez. The only hit for the Mets so far.
It was a pinch hit, you said?
Pinch hit, yeah.
Here's McCann now. McCann has walked a couple times and has bounced out. That ball game in Baltimore that Tommy referenced, an important one certainly for the Yankees and the Orioles. They both start play at 76 wins. The Yankees a half-game lead over the Orioles via the loss column, but into the 9th, Baltimore has a 4-2 lead.
Boy, just thinking, Rich, not a good week for pitchers to face guys named Zach. It was Zach Walters with the swinging bunt off Jose Fernandez the other night.
McCann pulls one. Solano, a tricky hop, plays it nicely to Dan Jennings. Continues great relief. Brad Hand and Jennings both good out of the pen. Braves are going to make a move to the bullpen, but to do that, they got to move some pieces around the board. Elliott Johnson goes from second out to left. Dan Uggla comes from the bench out to second. And Luis Ayala into the game. Ayala takes over on the mound for Luis Avilan. Chris Medlin for 6 1/3, 2 runs, 6 hits.
Now we told you through July 23rd, Medlin had been 6 10. ERA about 3.70. If Medlin picks up this win tonight, he'll be 7 2 since that time.
Ruggiano pulls a breaking ball. The count's quickly 0-2. Craig Kimbrell in the bullpen.
But anytime you get that save situation and it's against the Braves, good bet you're going to see Kimbrell. 44 saves for Kimbrell this year. With a substantial lead in that department in the National League. Rafael Soriano second with 39.
Count stays at 1-2. The Pittsburgh Pirates are a lot of people's darlings right now. Looks like they're headed towards the postseason for the first time in 20 years. They also, with one win, will wrap up a winning season. But they were swept by the Cardinals this weekend, and it doesn't get much easier. They have opened up a series in Arlington against the Rangers.
And have to face Darvish tonight.
There you go. The Pirates and the Rangers have the exact same record. 81 and 61. Up the middle. Uggla waits, and he's not going to get Ruggiano. I'm not sure if it was touched by Ayala. It seemed like it was, and it slowed the ball down.
Yeah, I think it was. I think if he doesn't touch it, it's into center field for a single either way. Let's see what he gets. Just a little bit off his glove. And wisely, Uggs doesn't throw it. You know, I remember early in the year reading something about some quotes from Clint Hurdle that he did not want their year just to be, hey, let's finish 500 or above.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, let's. He didn't want that, even though it hadn't been done in 20 years.
Oh, 1 to Polanco. Remember, in that double switch the Marlins made early in the ball game, removing Logan Morrison, the pitcher spot is up next. Polanco pulls 1 to third. Johnson gets it out. Uggla makes the turn. And Giancarlo Stanton was on deck, but now that there's nobody on base, the Marlins are going to go with someone else. Looks like Jake Marisnick.
Yeah, Stanton would have come up if there had been 1 or 2 men on, certainly. But with nobody on, he heads back to the dugout. Jake Marisnick has seen his playing time diminish somewhat. with Coughlin, the emergence of Coughlin.
Resurgence of Ruggiano.
The way Ruggiano swung the bat, certainly Christian Yelich.
Baltimore has defeated the Yankees 4-2. Slicing pop-up down the line. It's a foul ball. Freeman made a sliding try. And it came up empty. MLB.com at bat. #1 source for live baseball, and especially in these last 3 weeks. You need it. iPhone, iPad, Android, BlackBerry 10. At bat delivers Major League Baseball with live audio, pitch tracking, stats, news, highlights, and more. Text at bat to 31826. Go to Marlins.com for details. Cleveland trying to beat Kansas City with 2 outs in the bottom of the 9th in a 4-3 game. That's an interesting series, a battle of teams in the Central trying to get into that wild card position. Rusnick swings and misses, and Ayala finishes off the 8th. To the 9th, 5-2 Braves. Braves on top. But you know what? As long as the Marlins live set stays dry, Tommy, all is well. Craig Minervini, Jeff Conine, Chris Coughlin, a big night. Brad Hand out of the bullpen was nice. Checkers will bring it to you because you can't get that multi-million-dollar set wet. There's so many electronics and gadgets and doodads and things on it. If you get that wet, Tommy, that's...
Well, that's right. And when you have valuable property out there like Jeff Conine and Craig Minervini, you got to keep them dry. So Chris Astor comes in. He relieves Dan Jennings, who came in to replace Brad Hand. And I'll tell you what, you look at the scorecard, the only base hits the Atlanta Braves have gotten in this game were in the 4th inning. That was when they scored their 5 runs. They got 5 runs on 5 hits. They have 5 hits in the game.
And it was such an odd inning because Henderson Alvarez cruised through the first 3. He had 1 strikeout. He had a couple walks. And everything else was a ground ball out in those 3 innings.
So Brad Hand worked 3 terrific innings. No hits, 1 strikeout. Dan Jennings, a 1-2-3 inning with a strikeout.
Chris Johnson has a base hit. Johnson's average back where it started, 330. That was good enough for the lead in the National League.
Let's see, the Rockies are not. Oh, they are playing later on in San Francisco.
But Worth has had a nice night. I know he's homered.
I say the Rockies because Michael Kadire at 328 right now.
Worth is 7 points back at 323. Hatch sails one. Johnson to short. Echeverria makes the play. Poll results. AT&T sponsors the social media poll every night. Well, the Braves finish with the best winning percentage in the National League. ATL, yes. With the hashtag. 87%, and that's... I'm going there. I'm going Braves. I know you.
I was grossly outvoted there, but
you're going to stick with Dodgers or
anybody else. I get all of the above.
You get the 3 teams from the Central. You get the field. Yeah. I get the Braves. Hatcher gets an out, and there's 2 outs now.
So I'm going to mark in my scorebook. I have to remind myself at home for that Detroit series. When we finish things up to check the standings.
Just write yourself a note. I owe Rich dinner. Elliott Johnson. I hope you've had a chance, and if you're a Braves fan watching the game, you know already how funny Elliott Johnson is. Marlins got a little bit of a taste of it. With his Harry Carey impersonation, the NASCAR interview.
Not only was his Harry Carey impersonation a good one, it was a spin-off of Will Ferrell doing Harry Carey.
Yelich, a long run, and it's a foul ball. Well, I think his best work, Johnson's best work, was the post-game interview he gave as a NASCAR driver, in which he thanked all the sponsors of his supposed team. Chick-fil-A, all the Atlanta companies, all the companies that were...
Oh, he endeared himself with Atlanta immediately.
In the ballpark, in like a 30 to 40 second clip. I think he dropped like 12 sponsors in.
I think he had the Waffle House in there.
Yelich makes the catch. The good relief continues. And now here comes Atlanta's all-star closer. Offense better in September. August was a long, chilling month offensively for the Fish. September has been better. The Marlins have opened the month at 4-3, though they're starting at 4-4 if they can't figure out Craig Kimbrell, and not many people do. Kimbrell, one of the great strikeout pitchers of this era, is in.
Well, he's just one of the great closers of this era. 44 saves, we mentioned. Since he's become a Brave, as a rookie, his rookie year, he has saved 90% of the opportunities that he's had. He's the first pitcher in Major League history. Paul Giannis come into playing a little defense at third base. First pitcher in Major League history to have 40 or more saves his first 3 years in the major leagues.
Echeverria, Brantley, Lucas.
Lightning stuff, sharp, nasty slider.
Marlins have two pretty good weapons on the bench they haven't used yet, Greg Dobbs and Giancarlo Stanton. Remember, Dobbs was on deck for an at-bat, but that at-bat never came up.
You'd like to see somebody get on base. If the Marlins get a base runner, Chris Coghlan will get another at-bat, barring a double play. And you'd like to see Cogs maybe go for hit number 5. That's a good look there. Ed Lucas talking it over with Dobbs. Probably, I guarantee they're talking about Kimbrell.
Bouncer to short. And Simmons takes care of Echeverria. Well, while the Braves don't have that #1 absolute shutdown ace, they do have a really nice bullpen and an absolute shutdown closer.
Which I think we all know when you watch postseason. You see how important bullpens are.
Phantom Cam was so unique on Steve Cishek. Here's the Braves closer, Phantom Cam. Watch the right arm. It's like a spiked curveball with the finger, that index finger raised up on the ball. Brantley's up. There's 1 out, and the count's 2-0. Count evens now at 2-2, 97 miles an hour on the fastball. Swing and a miss. Tight breaking ball. And a strikeout. Something that Kimbrell does an awful lot of. The offensive highlight for the Marlins, aside from Chris Coghlan's 4-hit night, AT&T U-verse rewind, push back to the 7th. And Lucas, who came in at a double switch with a 2-run double. Last year, Kimbrell in one of the great seasons as far as strikeouts go, averaged almost 16 strikeouts per 9 innings. struck out 116. He walked 14.
That's the other thing. He's always around the plate.
Kevin Gregg just nailed down the last 3 outs for the Cubs, and the Cubs shut out the Cincinnati Reds 2-0 in Cincinnati. That was a hot Cincinnati team they ran into tonight.
Yeah, they had a 4-game winning streak.
Pittsburgh has the first run of the game in Texas, 1-0, and it's in the 8th in Arlington.
They're trying to snap a 4-game losing streak. Garrett Cole on the mound against Darvish.
Luka's still alive. It's 1-2. Just love the pose that Kimbrel has. A swing and a miss. And Kimbrel punches out 2, saves the ball game for Medlin. And the Braves continue their dominance of the fish. They have won 11 of the 16 games this year between the two clubs. And it snaps the 4-game losing streak for Atlanta. The Braves here tonight pick up win number 86. 5-2 the final.